Are you looking to lose 30 pounds in the next 90 days? And have you struggled with losing weight in the past? Because that's pretty much my story and that's my mission going on from here. Now, this is definitely something that you should not expect yourself to be perfect on, but weight loss is not as complicated as we tend to make it out to be if you have the right information, which I didn't have. For the last year and a half, I've been studying this stuff, and I've found 5 simple steps that you can implement in order to actually get you the results that you're looking for. So, we're going to be going on this mission together. We're going to be losing weight together, and just have to follow these 5 steps. And they're fairly simple, all things considered. Maybe not necessarily the easiest thing to be consistent with, but that's something we're going to be learning. So, don't expect perfection. Don't expect yourself to never get it wrong. Don't expect to have all of these steps every single day. Just work toward consistency, work on doing them more often. So let's dive into the steps themselves. The first step is to increase your protein intake. Now, this is something I had no idea was important when I was initially trying to lose weight or in the beginning parts of my weight loss journey. This is something that came about newly this last year and a half because I started researching healthy eating rather than weight loss. You pretty much never find this information when you look at weight loss in Google searches or look for weight loss programs. I don't know why. Super duper important in order for you to be able to maintain weight after you lose. So, all things considered, really, really vital. The reason for this is think of your body as a castle. You have a castle, you've got a whole bunch of people living in it, but what happens when you don't have any walls on that castle? Nothing works the way it's supposed to, right? Well, protein is the walls of your castle. Protein is required for building all the tissue in your body. It maintains your muscle mass. It protects you against harm. It keeps you functional. If you don't want to be a vegetable when you hit 80, muscle mass is going to be responsible for that. It also improves your immune system. So, all things considered, protein is simultaneously the building block and the protective mechanism of the body. So, you need to ensure you're getting enough protein. I was not. I was getting about 20 grams of protein at best most days for the last 20 years of my life. That is insufficient. I needed to increase my protein 800%. That's 160 grams of protein every single day. That's a lot. I was not prepared to do that. It has been quite a trial. So don't expect yourself to figure this out overnight. This is something you have to work up to. It's kind of like a skill. It's a new habit you have to establish. So if you mess up, try again later. Try again tomorrow. Try again for your next meal. Try to get more protein in there. But all things considered, definitely focus on this first. Protein is hugely important. But not only is it responsible for building your body, it also revs up your metabolism and burns more calories to process. So it's also very effective when it comes to trying to get into a calorie deficit. So focus on your protein. The best way to figure out how much protein you need, look at the BMI chart. Find the ideal weight for your height. Do not use that as your ideal weight, by the way. But if you go to the far end of that, that is exactly the amount of protein you probably should be getting on a day. So for me, that's 160 to 165 grams of protein, which is a lot. For you, it's probably going to be somewhere between 100 and 200, depending on if you're male, female, and what height you are. But generally speaking, that's going to be a good starting place. You may need to up it later, but it's at least a start. Do that. Get good with that. The next thing you want to focus on is vitamins. Now, vitamins are kind of a controversial subject because some people believe they have absolutely no value in the body. But the studies done on them are generally looking at kind of extreme circumstances, like do vitamins prevent cardiovascular issues? And generally speaking, this is like ensuring your body gets sufficient nutrients where you're not necessarily going to see the direct effects. So I kind of look at this in the castle scenario too, where if you have servants to help you clean the house, you have maids, you've got chefs, you've got, groundskeepers, the castle is going to be in a lot better repair, generally speaking, than if you didn't have those people helping you out. A castle is a very large place. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. And as time goes on, if you don't have the help, things start to pile up. Now the castle becomes less functional. You can't move around as easily. You've got piles of stuff here and there. All the mechanisms and things get gummed up because there's so much dust. You really need that help to help keep things clean and in place. And vitamins fit this role. So there are 3 vitamins that I recommend you focusing on. These are just to help your body function properly, just to keep things working at their best levels. And that is a multivitamin, I recommend a phytonutrient multivitamin. You can find it in the description. And then omegas, that's going to be really vital for like your brain function. And it's kind of like oil for your car, where it just keeps things working a little bit better. And vitamin D, because generally speaking, we do not get enough sunlight. And that's going to help with the deficiencies that we're getting due to that. So those are the 3 vitamins I recommend. Take them every day, take them as recommended, and be careful about sourcing, because not all vitamins are created equally. They may have good ingredients, but not designed to be absorbed by the body, and then serve absolutely no function. And if you don't get proper nutrients for your body, it doesn't work quite as well. Same with the servants in the castle. Things just don't work as well. So I definitely recommend getting your vitamins in. Now, the third thing I recommend is getting more vegetables into your diet. And you could say that this is good for you because of the nutrients, and that's true. But I recommend this one because it's actually the best way to get more food into your diet with fewer calories. So, all things considered, if you eat more vegetables, you're not going to be as hungry, which means you're less likely to overeat later, which is why vegetables are so powerful. And if you can season them right, if you can learn how to do that, they actually taste pretty decent. Now, it's not something you're going to be tripping over yourself to go eat, but if you make it a habit and you eat that first, for example, it's going to keep you pretty full. You're less likely to indulge later, which leads us to the fourth step, which is pretty much for every other food, stick to single servings. And if you don't know a single serving, stick to a spoonful and see how you feel. Now, this isn't to say that you can't have more, just that you want to test your body and see how much you actually need in order to satisfy a craving, or in order to feel full and comfortable as far as your hunger is concerned. So if you want to have some cake, try a spoonful of cake, see how you feel, and then go from there and slowly add on more as you go. I'd say 15 minutes or so between each spoonful, and more than likely you're not going to be overeating and yet still able to enjoy the foods that you like. So the single serving, single spoonful method is actually extremely effective, because you're not depriving yourself of foods, which means that you don't have food obsession, and that you're not necessarily feeling like you need to binge eat all the time because you're depriving yourself so much. It gives you a way to learn moderation. And that's probably the most effective thing that you can learn as far as losing weight is concerned, and one of the hardest to do. So, single serving, single spoon method is very effective. Just try to be consistent with it. Just try to do it. I know it's hard. Don't try to be perfect. Know you're going to mess up, and then just keep going. Keep trying again as you go. Keep trying again, new days, new meals, so on and so forth. So don't make this too complicated, but it will be extremely effective as far as getting weight off. Now, the last part of this, the fifth step, is all about movement. And generally speaking, we've been told to do all the wrong kinds of movements when it comes to weight loss. We're told to do intense cardio and lots of movement, get your heart pumping. But this is horrible advice for people looking to lose weight. The reason for this is because cardio tends to burn out all of the glucose stores in your body and your muscles, which means when you're done with the workout, you're hungrier. That's why this is horrible advice for people losing weight. And generally speaking, it's not hugely effective for fat loss, because your body is focused more on burning carbohydrates. So instead, we want to go with walking. We want to go with low impact, steady state cardio, which is so much easier and so much more pleasant, generally speaking, anyway. So stop killing yourself trying to do these crazy exercises. Just focus on getting some steps in. And you don't necessarily need to hit the 10,000 step mark every day either. You can just start with 1,000 and then go up to 2,000 next week, or go up 100 steps every week, and see how far you can get with that. And eventually you'll reach the point where you can do 10,000 steps without really thinking about it. And if you reach that point, you're likely burning a lot of calories in that day without necessarily working particularly hard for it. Now, that's not to say that you can't do other exercises. There is still a place for more intense cardio because it helps with your heart health. And there's absolutely a place for strength training, because that's going to increase your muscle mass, which overall leaves you healthier at the end of the day and increases your metabolism. But all things considered, you don't really need to be super focused on these other exercises that are hard and strenuous and make you ache and hurt and unhappy. Just focus on moving your body more, and that's going to make a really big difference when it comes to weight loss. Because in the end, it's how many days you can do this in a row that's going to matter the most. All too often, we think we need to torture ourselves in order to get the results that we're looking for. And that's exactly why we can't get the results that we're looking for, because we hate our lives. So rather than hating your life, focus on these 5 steps. and we'll work together to get this weight off in rapid time and give us the bodies that we're looking for within the next year or two. So join me on this journey, see what we can do. I would love to see your progress.